Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we are not going to be analyzing our most recent EuroSurge trades, which has been doing fantastic. Today I want to talk about a cheaper alternative. If you don't want to spend hundreds of dollars on a trading system or just cannot afford to do so, but have the time to build your own experience, that is something that I would like to cover today. A lot of people don't know this, but a very early version of EuroSurge is available on Patreon for $5. It's just a once-off fee of $5 and you can get a very early version of EuroSurge, including the source code. It is basically the early version of EuroSurge as opposed to the fully completed system that is available over on MKL5. And the reason I want to talk about this one is because you can get the same results, if not better, using this instead of EuroSurge. It's going to take time. It's not going to be a simple process. If you buy this, you'll be able to download a zip file from Patreon and we'll include a preset, which is a set file. It's probably useless by now. Here is the EA, including the source code. You'll notice that this is for MT4. Now, it is possible to set this up and optimize it for MT4, but it will be a lot more difficult to do. MT4 isn't as thorough as MT5 is in realistically showcasing results. For the most part, it is always more optimistic, misleading you or giving you a false sense of security. You might think, my results are going to be huge. I'm going to be a billionaire in 3 months. The reality will be the opposite. This is the source code. It's very simple. This is very early. This is 0.03. Even the name is different because I didn't know ultimately what the name would be. What it is now today as EuroSurge, this is only 200 odd lines of code as opposed to EuroSurge, which is a beast. We can open up MT4 and download the historic data that we need for gold in this case and go ahead and optimize things. But it's going to take a very long time. You'll notice I use a date from 1999 until 2015, but we can also do 2010 and then you'll manually have to do your forwards, right? You'll have to go through the optimizations that you like and make sure that it runs correctly in your out of sample period. And if it doesn't, you've got to scrap it and continue the process, whereas MT5 helps us do that. After purchasing, you've got the source code, but it's for MT4 and we want it to be for MT5. But this is only 200 lines of code, so let's select all and copy. Okay, so this is ChatGPT. Let's use ChatGPT for a very useful task, following MT4 EA to MT5. So let's paste the code. Now we have our converted code. It's going to be a bit of a gamble because ChatGPT will sometimes do it correctly, sometimes not. This is fortunately a simple EA. It's not going to work with something that's 1,000+ lines of code. That's when it begins to struggle. Let's just open our meta editor for MT5. This is the desktop icon. If you have MT5 installed, you can just open this up and it'll open this terminal. So let's just go to new expert advisor. Yes, and we'll call it anything. I want to retrieve it easily, so I'm just going to call it many A's. You can name it whatever you want. Acknowledge that. Let's just say Control A and paste. This is now all of our MT5 code. Compile. We've got errors. Okay, so this is also something that is going to happen using AI to try and convert. You're going to end up with some errors. I'm going to run a couple of prompts and just try and fix this and get this running. I don't want to manually convert this or grab a converted one. I want to show you how to do this so that you can do this at home as well, just because this is a simple bit of code. It now works. We do not have any errors. I copied and pasted the errors into ChatGPT and it fixed our compilation errors. We have one little warning, but it'll probably not be an issue. Now we need to locate our EA, and if I add it to the chart, we'll have all of our inputs. This is converted from MQL4 to MKL5, so essentially MT4 to MT5, and all of the inputs are identical. But we don't want to run it in its current state because all of our indicators and parameters are still default. So now we can start to optimize. Before going into optimization, I need to explain how EuroSurge works and how this is going to essentially mimic EuroSurge to a degree. It's not going to be perfect because there is one additional indicator that this does not have. However, you are free to experiment with different indicators. Because you have the source code, you can go to ChatGPT and say, hey, can you add CCI, ADX, whatever additional indicator you want to have in this particular EA that you can optimize it for. EuroSurge is essentially a composite of many different strategies. 75, I believe. We have 15 strategies for each individual symbol. So every symbol has a certain amount of strategies, which I do feel we have reached the limitation of what MT5 is able to support using EuroSurge itself. Hence why running something like this, you can open 40 charts on MT5 at once. However, this is going to be quite a time-consuming process. So this is only going to make sense if you have the time. If you don't have the time and you just want something to work, then I would recommend getting EuroSurge. Whereas if you do have the time and want to build your own curated strategies for whichever symbols across different timeframes, this would be the better approach. For example, we want to optimize it for gold, right? We'll select gold, we'll select our time frame. We have many to select from, although our charts are only limited to 1 minute, 5 minute, 15, 30, 1 hour. So use those time frames. Technically, we can use the time frames like 6 minute or 10 minute, but not in this current configuration. The EA will have to call those charts in the background and initialize them, which it currently will not be able to do. So just stick to these timeframes that we have, which are the standard timeframes. Let's start with the 5 minute. I'm not going to run all of the optimizations because I will not have the time to do that, because this video will become a very long video. So I'm just going to show you some tips and tricks of where to start, and then you basically have to take it from there. I can't hold your hand during this entire process. Okay, so let's say, for example, we want to optimize it the same way I done for EuroSurge. We'll go back to 1999, January 1st. Then we'll take our period, we'll take until today, all right? So this is over 25 years of data that it will be using. Bear in mind, your broker has to have that data available. If it only has data from 2016, this process will be pointless. MetaQuotes has, as far as I believe, the most data, at least for gold, so that we can go back until 1999 and we'll be able to optimize it using correct data. Once this is completed, you then need to cross-test across different brokers to make sure that the results are similar. It's not going to be identical, but it should at least be similar. Okay, another trick I use is using open prices only. The reason is we get through optimizations a lot quicker. All right, we can do 1 minute OHLC, but I use open prices only for the optimization. Once I get those results, then I test them using every tick and make sure that they are similar. If it holds up with every tick, and even if we add random delays in our testing, in this case, we just want ideal execution, or just use the current last ping is at 190 milliseconds. Deposit, let's just make it 1000 for now, and leverage, well, let's just leave it at 1 to 100. Okay, so we're gonna go for slow complete algorithm, and then the default optimization. So what it's going to show you is balance max. I go for complex criterion max because it uses profit factor and a whole bunch of other components. So it's not just looking at the balance, it's also considering things such as drawdown and how quickly the trades are able to recover. So it's not going to be the highest returns, it's going to be the most stable. So now we go to our inputs. We have selected optimization slow complete algorithm. And now we need to toggle what needs to be optimized. So ideally we want to work with fixed lots. The reason is using compounding during optimization is going to skew your results. So just leave it at fixed lots, leave it at 0.01. We're just looking for the most stable returns. We now need to look at moving average period. I'm going to tick everything that we want to optimize, and you're going to notice it's going to be a ridiculous number at the bottom. But let's do that. We want to take profit, stop loss, RSI, MACD, Bollinger Bands, stochastic. And then these are the indicators, whether they are being used or not. Some of you might argue just do one at a time. The problem is by doing one at a time is also going to skew the entire results, because just optimizing one indicator and now introducing another one can take good results and make them horrible or the opposite. So it's just easier doing this. And now we need to do our start and step and stop inputs. If you don't know what this means, just copy what I'm doing here. Just pause and copy these values into your inputs. We still have a ridiculous amount of passes that it will inevitably not be able to go through. Now, you can reduce these values to a degree, but it will give us a good starting point so that we can see which indicators are performing better for their time frame and narrow down on those. So we want to get a baseline. You can pause the video, copy these inputs into your inputs, or if you know what you are doing, you can play around with that. Okay, very important. Something that we need to do is enable our forward period. Our optimizations will go through our settings over here. However, we now wanted to forward from, we can do 2010, we can do 2015. Okay, doesn't matter that much because it is a very large out of sample period. So essentially our optimization is now going to run from 2019 to 2010 and forward from 2010 to the current date. This way, we will be able to see what the optimizations are showing, the in-sample period, and it'll show us the out-of-sample results as well. So ideally, we want to see the optimization period go up and the out-of-sample period continue going up. If we have the in-sample period going up and our out-of-sample period going down, that means we have a problem. I'm going to do one quick pass here and then we'll discuss those results and just quickly have a look at some of the outcomes. Okay, unfortunately, my PC crashed during the optimization. It's running quite a lot as well, all at the same time, including screen recording. We have a couple of results. These are terrible. With the complex criterion max, we are looking for this to be in the 90s. We can run a single test on this and see that is terrible. So what it is showing us here, this is the optimization period and this is the forward period. All of these are going to have similar results. So this will have to be run several times. There we go, that's the forward, that big spike there. This is obviously not going to be used, hence why you need to do this over and over again. Just over 10,000 passes are being done at the same time for every given run. If we take a look at our inputs, it'll tell us that, I don't even know what number this is. This is like a trillion, maybe, passes that need to take place in order to simulate every single variation that we are asking the optimization to do. That's impossible. A rule of thumb in what I do, I get a one usable set file for every 100,000 passes. So I'll run this 10 times and potentially have one usable set file that then needs to be cross-tested in order to make sure that it is usable. I repeat that process about 10 times. I would do 1 million passes and have about 10 workable set files and choose the best one. Unless they are offset enough, we can use 2 or 3 of those strategies. This is just for the 5-minute. If you get really good at optimizing and have a system for that, you could get one strategy done in a day. If you know what you're looking for, that's if you know what you are doing. To make it useful, you need multiple strategies. One strategy that works really well is probably only going to trade once every 2 weeks. If you want to see more trades, that's when you will be adding more and more strategies. Take this one, let's just say hypothetically this is a good test. You need to save these inputs for your strategy, so you'd save it as a set file. So you'd save it as strategy 1, gold, right? We'll just say XAUUSD 5-minute strat 1, and that is your strategy. So now when you add the EA to the chart, open a dedicated gold chart, go to the 5-minute, add the EA, load XAU 5-minute strat 1. It'll load those parameters and you select OK, strategy 1 done. Repeat this as many times as strategies that you want. If you want 30 strategies for gold, you have to repeat this process 30 times and finding that needle in the haystack. That is essentially what optimizations are. So if you are really good at this, you can have one symbol optimized in about a month, right? So you can spend a month, you can have one symbol, for example, gold, and have amazing results. This is what I've done with EuroSurge. EuroSurge has 75 strategies combined across all of these symbols. If the results are not good, you have to scrap that. Doesn't matter how much time you've spent on it. You can spend a week on one strategy. If the results are not good, you can't use it. Move on, right? Move on to something that will really work. I hope this puts into context why this EA is only $5, because you have to put in a lot of work. Whereas EuroSurge, I have done all of the work. I've spent months, I've spent over a year learning from mistakes. Eventually, you get a formula that works. There's no easy way of doing this. There is no shortcut. If something tests good, remember our optimizations were using open prices only. When you actually do your testing, you have to change it, right? So you need to change it to every tick based on real ticks. Add random delays. It needs to work under many conditions. Once it passes, test it on a different broker, test it on the broker you intend to use. If it does good on meta quotes, but it doesn't do good on whatever broker you actually have your money in, do not use it. Do not use that strategy. Keep on looking for it. When considering doing this, take your time with it. You'll probably have the most amazing system. The reason I call it a trading system is because it is not just a bot or one set file. It is a whole bunch of different EAs. It's the same EA using different parameters, different time frames. All of them work together to give you one result. Hopefully, if done correctly, would be profit. That is what I wanted to talk about today. All of the links are in the description. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.